We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. This evening, Los Angeles School of Law says Kentucky is the gayest state in the U.S., but they were so wrong. What's number one? We'll find out.
This December has to be the best month of 2023, not because it is a holiday season, but because the community had one additional reason than others to celebrate it: the 25th anniversary of the Bi flag.
Justice Matthew McDermott says that not everyone who displays a pirate flag is an actual pirate, and applies the same approach during the hearing of one LGBTQ+ hate crime case.
New York's LGBTQ+ citizens are caught between a rock and a hard place as the Democratic Party announces "Don't Say Gay" supporter as its pick for Santos' seat.
Parties like this not only uplift the mood, but the community too. The Bears of South Florida has once again shown how much it can and is willing to do for the LGBTQ+ community.
Hello and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and then available on demand on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple, Android, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It is Monday, December 11, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
I'm out South Florida senior reporter John Hayden. This evening we bring you the news of and perspective, representing the LGBTQ+ community from South Florida, America, and around the world.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine, happening on a television network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission? To support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbians and queer women, trans, students, youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 39 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
Let's begin the week by welcoming our panel. We start with Jamaal L. Starks, a South Florida professional named Porcelain. He is was vice president of Impulse Group Chapter Miami. No more, but better things are on the way. Which is part of a global organization helping connect gay men and queer men. He's also a spiritualist and model. Welcome back, Jamaal.
Thank you, John.
And so when you say you're no longer vice president, but what are you hoping for the future?
Well, we're in transition right now.
Yeah.
So we have an election coming up in January after our retreat and the new 2024 year starts. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what comes along.
All right.
I'm not saying nothing.
All right. Excellent group. Thank you for all that you guys do.
Thank you.
Up next, Gregg Shapiro. Wow, what are you doing on that side of the table? An inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame, Gregg is the author of 9 books. His entertainment coverage, including celebrity interviews, run in a variety of print and online publications, including the one and only Out South Florida. Yes, welcome back, Gregory.
How did I get to this side of the table?
I don't know, I think it's opposite day.
Yes, that must be it.
Up next, Dr. Edward Summers, the executive director of Pride Lines, Miami's LGBTQ community center. He was also the founder and CEO of a New York-based nonprofit, the Thinkubator Incorporated. Welcome back, Dr. Summers.
Thank you. And it's good to be here. I want to plug 3 events this week that's going on. We're pretty busy at Pride Lines. It's been a great couple of months being there. Tomorrow we launch this new initiative called Pride Lines Unmasking. It's a new award that we developed where we honor individuals, particularly younger individuals, who are their authentic selves, who are always their authentic selves, unapologetic about it, and just naturally themselves, and really just display themselves in public. So tomorrow we honor Bobby Lights, who's a Miami native. He's on the show Love and Hip Hop, and he's been on a number of other reality TV shows, but he's somebody who young people have told us that when they look at him, they look at somebody who's just raw. He says what's on his mind, and he's always himself, and they look up to a person like that. And so we honor him tomorrow at our Pride Lines Miami Beach Center at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. We also have this Thursday, in collaboration with the Greater Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, Holla Gay, which is an annual event at Miami Beach on South Beach. It's this Thursday, starts at 6 o'clock. We usually have a couple of hundred people there. It's going to be another fun event. We ask people to bring a gift to that event so we can have some gifts for those who are unfortunate. And then last but not least this week, we top off the week with our youth event. It's called Camp Out this Saturday. We're going to do that. We have a group of young people that we're very excited to put through a leadership development program on Saturday. They'll have some time at the beach. They'll have some meditation, some yoga, and some leadership development. We really are looking to train the next group of queer leaders. And, you know, that Camp Out has led to something that's really significant for Pride Lines. We have something called the Queer Futures Project that will launch in 2024. It started with Camp Out, where we did this leadership development program over a weekend, and now we just got a grant from the Robley Foundation, which will develop young people throughout a whole year. So we'll have a whole year of leadership development training for young people. So this is an exciting week for Pride Lines. Very busy, but very exciting nonetheless.
I have to ask one follow-up question. Why are you here? Don't you have like huge events to be out planning for tomorrow, Thursday, and the weekend?
I do, but I have a great team. I have a great team, and so it allows me to be the face of the organization while the team does all the logistics. And so that's the best thing that a CEO could ask for.
All right, well, we are happy you are here, and best of luck with those events this week.
Thank you.
And finally, Jeff Oliverio. He is a financial advisor and certified financial planner with Truist Wealth in Fort Lauderdale. He is one of the founders and current treasurer of the Hollywood sorry, Jeff, too many Hollywoods. Hollywood LGBTQ Plus Council and the upcoming My Hollywood Pride in January. He has served as co-chair for the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala since 2021 and is also the recipient of Mr. Hair Gel 2017 through 2022. Congratulations, Jeff.
That is an award I will take easily. I also want to plug, we're kicking off our Hollywood Pride events. We have a preview event, a social event that's kind of become an annual thing for our organization with the Hollywood Council. We have our ugly sweater, fabulous sweater, because you know we are gay, and you get to don our gay apparel tomorrow in downtown Hollywood at 7 p.m. at Mickey Burns. We're also doing karaoke as part of that event. We're going to have some prizes. It's in conjunction with the Humanity Project, which is an organization we've been partnering with for the last 3 years. So come out to Mickey Burns, downtown Hollywood, and join us with your ugly or fabulous sweater and do some holiday karaoke with us.
So many fun things going on this month, and I'm just loving it. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community around the world is vast. And here are the bullet points for the queer news for today, Monday, December 11th, 2023. And we begin by queering up the USA. New study reveals which region of America has the most LGBTQ plus, and the original answer may surprise you. After releasing a report listing Kentucky as having the highest percentage of gay adults than any state in the U.S., UCLA's School of Law William Institute said the data for the bluegrass state was wrong. Almost every LGBTQ plus media outlet reported the initial data. In the correction and apology issued on social media, Brad Sears, founding director of the Institute, acknowledges the mistake and apologizes, saying the CDC data used was updated in July, and that update was missed by the school. It turns out the percentage of gay adults living in Kentucky is 4.9%, well below the national average of 5.6%, and puts the Commonwealth in a tie for 43rd. That sounds about right. He said the Institute is working on a new analysis of LGBTQ plus adults. According to the Institute, 5.6% of U.S. adults identify as LGBT, and there are about 14 million LGBT adults in the United States. Yeah, I saw this story last week, and it was one of those that I just kind of pushed by because I was like, I didn't understand the methodology, and I was like, we're not going to push this. And boy, was I right. I grew up in Indiana. Kentucky's just to our south. And I mean, God bless the people living there from Paducah to Louisville, over to the tri-state. But I knew y'all weren't leading the country. There's just something inside me that said, you're not doing this. So it reminds us to always take everything with a grain of salt, and also gives us a good idea of where our brothers and sisters are around the world.
Yeah, I feel bad for the Williams Institute. Having ran a research center, this is like a big blunder that could just destroy the credibility of a research center. So I do feel bad that they made this blunder. But similar to you, Kentucky of all places, come on. Right. Let's be real, right? And this goes back to something that I believe too, is that we need a better way of counting us. There's no real great way of counting the gay population, and so we need a better way of doing that, and so we can really know the real numbers.
Well, I know a few people who relocated to South Florida from Kentucky, and I'm guessing they were as shocked as anyone about the Williams Institute report, and then greatly relieved when the reporting was corrected. I also think it's a safe bet that South Florida and Florida in general, the LGBTQ plus population plays a significant role, a much higher number for our community.
Do you think that your friends are the data adjustment? Like, there weren't this many people, but then they all moved down, and then by July, so many of your friends had moved here that the data was incorrect?
Well, I can really only count like 3 or 4, so I don't think there's that. That, to me, seems like a lot. Living in Chicago, I never knew anybody from Kentucky. I know more people here.
My ex is from Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it your ex?
Yes.
You say, yeah, well, there you go.
I have an ex that was from a small town in Kentucky below Louisville.
Okay.
But I don't know if anybody who was in that research center was like,
not the right people.
Like, he ran away and got to Louisville, then Atlanta. So that's where I caught him.
He's moving on up.
Exactly.
I think it would be interesting to look at this study to see if people that identify in states where there's laws or rhetoric around being LGBTQ are less likely to identify in any kind of a survey. Because again, we live in a state, of course, that we're not making it very hospitable to LGBTQ people. And I think that would be interesting to see how that trend plays out. Because again, Kentucky, Louisville is actually a pretty progressive city itself. Yeah. And there are a lot of LGBTQ people in Louisville, but across the state, I would say probably not as many as leading the nation.
Right.
Again, identified as.
Or
right?
identify as.
Right.
Yes, identify as.
Again, Louisville is great. Lexington is great. Our hearts really go out for our brothers and sisters in Paducah, Western Kentucky. No, I know. It's fun because Paducah's a funny word. Yeah. But we have to look out we have to know where our people are. And like you said, censusing has always been a non-exact science, to be sure.
Next, let's queer up gay culture. The bi flag is 25. Here is everything you need to know. The bisexual flag turned 25 on December 5th and is an important occasion for the LGBTQ plus community. The flag is ubiquitous in bi circles, but it took a while to catch on. The bisexual flag was born on December 5th, 1998. The pink, purple, and blue colors that have come to represent the bi community in their stripes were not new back in 1998, but refashioning them into a very simple flag was the bright idea of Michael Page of the now defunct online chat forum Bi Cafe. He took the pink, purple, and blue that was being used as a bi symbol through a set of overlapping triangles, a pink and blue triangle overlapping and creating a purple triangle as their intersection. Despite this, it was still fairly unknown as a symbol in the wider LGBTQ plus scene, not least because in the days when color printing was so much harder to afford, promotional materials for bi events, groups, and projects tended to be in black and white. I have to say, very often I learn something new from a story on Queer News Tonight, and this one is a perfect example. I was really unaware that in those numbers that the majority of the LGBTQ plus community actually identifies as bi, not gay or lesbian or trans. But as a Kinsey 6 myself, I just want to say thank you to Queer News Tonight.
Okay.
The interesting part of the story to me was the reference that the black and white was one of the reasons why they had to change the flag. It really shows how far we've come in.
It really does.
The printing and media and things on our cell phone.
It really does.
And congratulations to the bi community for your 25th anniversary.
Of a flag.
Of a flag.
They've been around much longer.
Of the representation of your community through a flag.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, let's
Actually, I want to mention a couple things before we move on. I'm sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
It is. We've had a little bit of fun with it. A lot of us didn't know about the bi flag. I want to say that at Pride of the Americas this last February, when you were walking in, after you paid your admission, as you were walking in, they had up all the flags from our community, and it was really informative.
Amazing.
Yeah. And the bi flag was one of them. And I was shocked to realize there were so many flags.
Yeah.
And some people were like, what's the point? And I'll tell you, the point is representation. America literally changes its flag every time we add a state. We add a star. So that every state is represented. All of the 50 states and all of our, the district and all of our territories have their own flag. They're state flags. So, no, there's not too many flags. And the people who say so, I mean, just get over yourself. Say the acronym. Don't sneer at the flags and just go on with your life. Representation is important. Kudos to 25 years. Jamaal?
Next, let's queer up the courts. Judge compares LGBTQ plus people to pirates during hate crime case. The Iowa Supreme Court upheld the conviction of a man who trespassed at 5 homes in the small town of Boone and left notes referring to pride flags on display that read, quote, "Burn that gay flag," end quote. The handwritten notes were taped to the front doors of the homes in June 2021. All the homes displayed rainbow flags or decals. The criminal, Robert Clark Geddes, claimed on appeal that the ruling of a hate crime violates his free speech rights. A majority of Iowa's high court rejected the argument. Victims told police they considered the notes alarming, annoying, and threatening. In a surveillance video, Geddes was identified as the perpetrator and was charged with 5 counts of trespassing as a hate crime. However, while declaring the ruling, Justice Matthew McDermott wrote that there was no evidence in the record that indicated the targets of Geddes' notes were members of the LGBTQ plus community. Whether Geddes believed they were, nor if any of the residents had an association with an actual person in those protected classes, he said, quote, "As a symbol, a flag doesn't independently create or express actual association with particular persons. Not everyone who displays a pirate flag is associated with actual pirates," end quote. Well, what I took from his comments, because I could see what he was saying, everyone who does display a LGBTQ plus flag does not identify as LGBTQ plus. But like I stated in another story before, when I see the flag, it represents safety. So it represents a safe housing or a safe place. Whether or not the persons or people who display the flag are identified with our intersections, it still represents safety. And so basically the trespassing was a hate crime against the safety of or shelter of LGBTQ plus persons. Yeah, he wasn't actually saying we're pirates, even though, I mean, sometimes we kind of claim that. Don't.
I mean, and the residents that live within those homes, I mean, yes, it is harassment. Because again, if they may not identify LGBTQ, but you're leaving notes on their door with a threatening message, which could be, aimed at them and have more violence, as we, come to see many stories following this. So I just think that, it's very small-minded by the judge, but not surprising.
Well, there are some people in Iowa who continue to do everything in their power to live up to the state's accurate acronym. Idiots out wandering around.
Ow. Sorry, Iowa.
Damn.
That's pretty powerful. But to go back to your point, Jeff, I think it's if you have a flag, and Jamaal's point too, if you have a flag, you typically are accepting, you're open. And most people who have flags up typically have a family member or a friend or a kid or someone that they're pretty close with, and that's why they have the flag up. So it is threatening, it is harassing, it's very challenging, and I don't like the comparison to pirates. Actually, I just think it's too amateurish.
Silly.
It's amateurish for a judge to write a comparison to pirates. To be frank with you, this is about protecting our community, celebrating our diversity, being accepting. And to John's point earlier, when we talked about so many flags, we have a very diverse community, and the flag to me symbolizes that diversity of who we are in the LGBTQ community and that safety net.
Maybe the judge watches Our Flag Means Death, which is a show about gay pirates.
It's a fabulous show.
It is.
It really is. It really is. But the judge, in his line is just ignorant. Is it willful ignorance because he's hoping to get promoted to a federal bench by the next Republican president? Perhaps. Who knows? But the fact is, if people are displaying the pride flag, be it in a sticker on their window or from a flagpole or on the back of their car, they are aligned with us. People don't put up flags to spite other people. Miami Dolphin fans aren't putting up the Jets flag on their pole on Sundays to go, we'll show you. No, they don't. Proud Boys are not showing up with pride flags or stickers on their pickup trucks at their meetings out in what I can only imagine is a rural part of the Everglades. The flag does say something about the people inside. It does. Yeah.
Let's queer up education. Democrat candidate to replace George Santos supports Don't Say Gay law. Voters in New York's 3rd Congressional District could face a less than ideal choice to replace disgraced former Representative George Santos, a Democrat who voiced support for Florida's Don't Say Gay law, and a Republican who has been convicted of participating in the January 6th Capitol insurrection. A special election to fill the now vacant seat after Santos was expelled from Congress last week will be held on February 13th. Democratic Party bosses hoping to flip the swing district announced their candidate, former Representative Tom Suozzi, Representative Gregory Meeks from Queens, and State Democratic Party Chair Jay Jacobs showed their support for Suozzi, talking about his record of fighting for his constituents and safeguarding the suburban way of life on Long Island and Queens. As Politico notes, Suozzi represented the district for 3 terms before leaving Congress to run against New York Governor Kathy Hochul in the 2022 gubernatorial primary. During that race, one of the policies Suozzi supported was Florida's Parental Rights and Education Act, commonly known as Don't Say Gay. During a 2022 appearance on WABC's Bernie and Sid in the Morning, Suozzi described the anti-LGBTQ+ law as reasonable. New York GOP leaders are yet to announce their pick for Santos' seat. This is a challenging story being from New York, but I get the Democrats. I don't endorse it, I don't condone it, but I get what the Democrats strategically are doing. They're trying to win seats, and that district is it's a traditionally Republican seat, and they need a Democrat that's a little bit more conservative. And Suozzi represents that, and he formerly represented that district as well. I don't support it, not at all, but I get the strategic positioning that the Democrats have had to do here. And Gregory Meeks, I've known him back when I was a younger person. I did some campaigning for him, and I know that he is one that is very inclusive, very supportive of the LGBTQ community. So I know it had to be very strategic on his part. This was not a decision that he feels great about, to be frank with you. I doubt that he feels great about this decision, but strategically, to position the Democrats to take over the House again, I think that they had to do this. It's unfortunate, though.
I think we have to remember too that the original "Don't Say Gay" bill was targeted against things in K through 3. Again, not to agree with the bill in itself, but the original bill and the intent of it. If you just read it, it sounded very innocuous because we thought we're not teaching about sexuality in K through 3. We're not talking about sexuality in K through 3. So for him to say, which could be a comment to again garner some support from more conservative voters, to say the bill sounds reasonable. It does sound reasonable in its context, but in its execution in Florida, it was much worse. So I don't think we should conflate the execution of the bill with the actual language of the bill, which was very general in its nature, which was designed that way on purpose so that they could really get into our schools and then try to expand upon it. So I think it's more important that we do try to flip the seat because we can use every vote we can get on the Democratic side.
But you do have to wonder in that constituency, that suburban constituency in Long Island and Queens, are there gay people there, and how do they feel?
Yeah,
how do
there are.
Well, how do they feel about this?
Oh, yes.
This guy was supporting that. I mean,
I lived on Long Island for a little while and worked at 2 universities.
You are so brave to admit that.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm a very diverse person. Culturally competent. But I lived on Long Island. There's lots of gay people on Long Island. I think they get it though. I think New Yorkers get the politics behind it.
Okay.
And I think gay New Yorkers in particular get the politics here. And I think, Swazi, when you look at his record beyond him saying that this is reasonable, he tends to be a very pro-gay legislator, right? And so I think that the gays will support him despite what he said about this comment. And I think going back to what Jeff said, perhaps on the surface, he said it was reasonable because it sounded reasonable, but again, the implementation of the policy is very different.
Exactly.
Just one thing I'll say, to your point earlier, that the Dems have a strategy. Do New York Dems have a strategy? Because the way they redrew their districts in this last round after the census, my God, we might actually still have a Democratic House if they had been able to put their districts just the right way, especially with all the nonsense that Republicans have. So you're saying your friends have a strategy. I'll believe you because I like you, but I just don't get it. But that's just my comment broadly. Jeffrey.
Oh, now let's clear up South Florida and Florida. The Bears of South Florida holiday party have record give back to the LGBTQ plus community. The Bears of South Florida, one of South Florida's most loved gay social organizations, brought some holiday cheer to the community on Friday, December 8th. The event was full of fun, drinks, dinner, fellowship, and holiday vibes. However, this annual party was not just limited to fun. It was also an opportunity for the Bears to give back to the community. The event started at 6:30 p.m. at the Pride Center at Equality Park on Friday, and the organizers soon announced their 2023 give back to the community. In 2022, they raised $20,000 for charity, and this year they doubled their charity community give back to $40,000. The 2023 grant recipients included vital LGBTQ plus organizations. Here is a list of organizations and the grants they received at the annual party. Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida was awarded $5,000, and so was Island City Stage, the Pride Center at Equality Park, SunServe, Plays of Wilton, and South Florida Pride Concert Band. Other organizations like Trans Social, Prism, Sage of South Florida, Arts United, and Equality Florida received a $2,000 grant each. Both SunServe and Stonewall Pride had their grants matched by AHF through the Florida AIDS Walk. Having raised $40,000 this year as compared to $20,000 last year, it was undoubtedly a successful event. The Bears of South Florida is a nonprofit organization and a social charitable group that raises funds through a variety of activities and then donates that money to support other nonprofit LGBTQ plus organizations in our community. Learn more about the Bears of South Florida at bosfl.org. I love these type of events that are giving back to the community and creating fun. I think that's what we are more known for probably in our community than any other. We find ways to have parties and raise money, and we're really, really good at it. And this is great. The organizations that they awarded money to are all very worthy and leaders in the community. So I love these type of stories, and the partnerships are really the part of it. Again, the Bears of South Florida supporting everything from SunServe and mental health to PRISM, which is, LGBTQ activism for youth and in schools. I think there's just a great connection there, and it really shows their leadership in the community.
Mm-hmm. No, I absolutely love it. And to add on to your point, Jeff, like the spectrum is they even support a SAGE, right?
Yeah.
Which is for our seniors in our community, and Trans Social, they included in this year. So it's a great event. I love when organizations can have fun, have a nice party. I love partying, but still raise money for social good. It's amazing.
Well, having been to one of the Bears of South Florida's annual holiday parties, I can vouch for the fact that it is a lot of fun. And it's nice to see bears out and about in December and not hibernating for the winter.
True.
Just to top off the $40,000, which is great. I mean, what more could you ask for? We can ask for some more. They also collected 5 industrial-sized trash bags of teddy bears at their fundraiser at Hunter's. They did that with the Gay Men's Chorus, and they collected so many, and those go to children in hospitals. So they've got a little bit of brightness in a day, something that they can hold on to when they're going through whatever treatments need to be done to make them better. So guys, thank you all so much. And if you get a chance to go to a Bears party, go! It is so much fun.
Yeah. Well, next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International service at 10:30 a.m.
Well, we finished this evening's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Disney omits gay lyric during a Florida theme park performance. Throughout Florida's Don't Say Gay bill controversy, Disney has been vocal in its support for the LGBTQ plus community. However, according to a report from Inside the Magic, they may be singing a different tune this holiday season. During the inaugural Disney Jollywood Nights After Hours event at the park, conservatives seem to be winning more of the battle as the Walt Disney World Resort allegedly omitted or replaced any lyrics containing the words gay and queer. Inside the Magic reports that on December 4th, during Mickey and Minnie Mouse's portion, Mickey sang a traditional version of Oh Christmas Tree. However, Minnie changed the lyrics. The original lyrics read, Don we now our gay apparel, troll the ancient Yuletide carol, and were reportedly changed to, Don we now our cozy sweaters, I can think of nothing better.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up trans rights. Lesbian swimmer Diana Nyad changes stance on trans athletes. I regret any harm I caused. Nyad, who made history in 2013 by becoming the first person to report swimming from Cuba to Florida without the use of protective of a protective shark cage, has changed her stance after publicly opposing trans women taking part in women's sports. She wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post in 2002 arguing against trans women's inclusion in elite sports on women's teams. Since then, however, Nyad explained she has done a lot of deep dive thinking and her views have evolved. Diana Nyad added in the interview that all women are affected negatively by trans women being targeted by discrimination and abuse in sports and elsewhere.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up politics. Donald Trump's lesbian niece says Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to bribe him so she can be his VP. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's dreams of being Donald Trump's running mate are no secret. She has talked about her dream of being Trump's right-hand woman on several occasions. But Mary Trump, the Don's lesbian niece and clinical psychologist, argues that Greene and 2024 GOP candidate Vivek Ramaswamy went one step further last week to advance their political ambitions, giving what Mary Trump says amounts to a bribe to her uncle. Mary Trump focused on Ramaswamy's claim at the fourth debate that the January 6th insurrection was an inside job. On her Substack, she wrote, quote, Vivek Ramaswamy and Marjorie Taylor Greene just bribed Donald with immunity, end quote.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Legalizing same-sex marriage has caused a dramatic drop in LGBTQ suicide rates. In June 2015, the Supreme Court of the United States declared marriage equality legal in all 50 states. The decision granted 1,100 statutory provisions to same-sex couples, many of them granting rights and privileges previously only afforded to heterosexual couples. However, the law didn't just benefit marriage equality couples who wanted to get married, it also had a dramatic effect on LGBTQ plus youth. The study was conducted with over 26,000 LGBTQ youth participants in the 32 states where gay marriage was legalized up through the 2015 Supreme Court decision. The study found suicide attempt rates dropped 7% among all students and 14% among gay kids after marriage equality was legalized in each state. While the change in suicide attempts doesn't prove a direct connection, researchers believe the law made LGBTQ plus kids feel more hopeful for the future.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up health. CDC issues warning over new, more deadly strain of Mpox. The CDC has issued a warning over the growing threat of a new, more deadly strain of Mpox. The World Health Organization says the Democratic Republic of Congo is experiencing its worst ever recorded outbreak of the disease. There have been 12,000 cases so far this year and 600 deaths. That's 5% of those infected. That's way more deaths than during last year's outbreak in the United States and Europe. It's clear this is a new strain of the disease, and it's more deadly than the previous strain. It has been noted particularly among men who have sex with men and among sex workers. Health experts point to this as evidence it's likely to be sexually transmitted. That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBT news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm John Hayden, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Jamaal L. Starks, Gregg Shapiro, Dr. Edward Summers, and Jeff Oliverio. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you a very
good night.